National Anthem, representing the three-time Stanley Cup champion New Jersey Devils, are lit.
I feel like I'm at a game. Oh my gosh. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Oh, I hear that beer Baron.
Delicious.
Ah. This is the Let's Go Devils podcast. It's a Happy Devils Sunday! I almost screwed that one up, but the feeding was a lot better than previous weeks, guys.
One of these weeks you're gonna get that without worrying.
Yeah, without worrying.
It's going to be automatic. Automatic.
Yes.
Yeah, it will be automatic at some point.
In true Sam Wood fashion, I am going to fade out really badly. All right. Cut the music. This is the Let's Go Devils podcast. I am Sam Wu, your host, along with Beer Baron and Shorts Guy. Shorts Guy is the guy below me. Hello,
Right,
Shorts
I'm right
Guy.
here.
Say hello.
What up, Sammy?
And
What up,
Beer
Sam?
Baron is this way. This is like the
Gentlemen.
Brady Bunch, right? This is the Let's Go Devils podcast.
Brady Bunch.
The Let's Go Devils
Yeah, right.
podcast, season 1, episode 10. Had chances. I repurposed the podcast that wasn't to be last week, but we're back on track. This is the Let's Go Devils podcast. I also want to welcome in not only the people on the Let's Go Devils podcast group page, but I also want to welcome in the Devils Army blog. The Devils Army blog have allowed us to put our little podcast, the Let's Go Devils podcast, on their page. And something big happened in the last week. Guy named Joe, he is part of the Nerd Herd at Devils Army blog. They have now changed their website name from NJDAB to devilsarmyblog.com. Just
That's
remember
awesome.
that website.
That's amazing.
Devilsarmyblog.com.
Congratulations.
And congratulations. Just want to make that mention. Also, the New Jersey Devils, big win over the Dallas Stars last Friday. Big win.
Yeah.
I mean, if you
Two
want to
big wins last
backtrack, in the past, what happened with the BJs, up 2-0, losing to the BJs in that Metropolitan Division showdown, then losing to that stinking team across the river. Let's not talk about that. Let's think ahead.
Yeah, that was a bad one.
But what did you guys think about the Devils this previous week? Starting with you, Shorts Guy.
I thought they had some really good opponents this week, and that game against the Kings, everyone should have known that was going to be a tough one with the way the Kings were playing. and to come out to put a 5 spot on Jonathan Quick was that was pretty impressive. And with the exception of a tip, with about less than 8 minutes left to go in the third, Corey Snyder gets a shutout in that game. That I thought was awesome. The win against the Stars was awesome. That loss against the Canadians, that was bad defensive coverage in overtime, though.
Yeah, it was. But that whole game, they were playing pretty solid.
The Canadian game?
Yeah.
No, that was they went out front real quick, and then it got tied, and that was just a good back-to-back defensive goaltending battle. Price seemed to get better. The further he went into that game, he got better and better and better, which was not good for us. And then here comes overtime, and that was just why 3 players were on one.
You know what though? They had guys coming off the bench, and it was just dumb luck.
Yeah,
I mean, Zach, I had him tied up, but you're 100% right. Why do you have 3 guys? And Coleman earlier in the third period rang one off the pipe that would have put him up 2-1. And he was in on that play in overtime. And oh God, wide open in the slot, and the puck just gently onto his stick, and he buried it.
I would tend to disagree that that he was tied up, because the stick was still free and able to get that pass out, and you had 2 other guys right there that couldn't get to that loose puck, and how that pass gets made out to the slot is beyond me. There's only so much from a goaltender's point of view that you can do with a guy streaking in like that with speed to get a good pass like that. It's that's one of those things where you're just going to go out, challenge, hope them, and hopefully you can catch the guy and make the save. But
you know what though,
it didn't happen.
A good rebound game though. The following game, I know Andrew on the Let's Go Devil Facebook group, tweeted out or posted Boiler, and I agree, dude. Boyle had a huge game last game. And, he scores that goal on the power play. He takes that penalty. And he even said after the game, he was like, that was a stupid penalty to take. But at the same time, he's been on fire, as of late. And a huge emotional leader in that locker room. You could tell the influence that he has on the players. And he's making a huge difference. And if we don't have a guy on the team like that last year, that's a loss. You know what I mean? Like, it just seems like
absolutely.
He's a great leader in that locker room. And then you got to think about it. We're going into that 3-game stretch without Hall. We don't have Palmieri and we don't have Johansson. So it's pretty impressive that they were able to pull out some points, or they lost him at the end of the Kings game. He got lost. Hall got lost to that knee 30 hit.
But it looks like Hall's going to be back for tomorrow, because he was practicing with Nico and Palmieri today on what was listed as the first line. So with all hope, a couple quotes by Hall was saying that he was just afraid he didn't tear anything, and missing Friday was mostly precautionary, more than anything. So, but full practice today, which was great. And, hopefully tomorrow comes in, and tomorrow's that game that people have been looking forward to for the last, 3 weeks now? The return of Henrique tomorrow.
Henrique. They're going to do a nice little video tribute, which they should definitely do. And I'm sure the fans are going to give him, one hell of an ovation when he gets out there. But I
agree.
I'll tell you what, he's been on fire since he went over in Anaheim. I think he's got 5 points in the last couple games, and seems to be fitting in pretty well over there. So
yeah, and good for him. You want him to succeed. He's got something to prove over there as well. To prove why they picked him up, and for what they gave away. Something interesting about him, though, I forget where I read this today. But supposedly there was a little back and forth between Henrique and management, saying that they'll it's not out of the question to bring him back later on. So
imagine they brought him back at the trade deadline. You know what I mean? Like, imagine they're like, oh, whoop, we flipped the script and now we're bringing him back. And
yeah, right.
I mean, Ray Shiro's been able to pull off some pretty incredible things. So who knows? But you think about it, he becomes the UFA in not next year, but the year after, and he's still in a good part of his career. He's still, relatively young enough, I'll say. You bring him back at the right price, and everything will be great. And you could even have, this third line center or whatever, and who knows what we have at that point, and who knows what the structure of the team is. Because if you would have told me that we would have had the team that we have now, even 2 years ago, I would have laughed and said, that's great on paper. But it's interesting. It's interesting to see like where that's going to go.
Yeah, and it's not out of the question to bring him back, but that's still some time off. I highly doubt I would see him coming back at the trade deadline. That would just be too.
No, I know.
That wishful
That'd
thinking.
be pretty crazy.
Wishful thinking.
Hey guys. Hey guys.
Although look at how many we got back from Anaheim though.
Yeah.
I'm going to interrupt you guys for 1 second for our station identification. This is the Let's Go Devils podcast, season 1, episode 10. You're listening right now to me, Sam Wu. Shorts guy, he's below me, and to the I guess right of me that way is Beer Baron. But we also got a new feature on the podcast that we had last year. But this, and I'm gonna fade in. Hopefully, I do it right. We got phone line.
Woo! Start trying to take some callers today.
So we got we got callers, and as soon as I mention the new phone number 323-870-3871, I'm here. It's not just these two guys. I'm not it's not like a ghost effect here. Woo! See, I'm right there.
Sam's ever present.
Yes.
Yeah, he's ever present, and he loves the fade in. He loves the fade.
Yes. Or how about this?
Dissolve.
How about the cube?
Dissolve.
How about the cube? Woo!
Wow.
It's like
what is this? Middle school computer class learning how to do PowerPoint? There's going to be 18 transitions you just do not.
Dude, if you could do the star swipe right now, I'd be in heaven. And star swipe and we're out.
Actually, I could probably do that, but the phone number, folks, is 323-870-3871. But as soon as I did that, a stupid Windows update just shut down the computer.
Come on, Windows. I would trash Windows, but my brother works for them, so I'm obligated not to.
Yeah, okay. All right, but
by contract, I can't.
Yeah, but if Windows sponsors the Let's Go Devils podcast here, let's go back to me as I'm talking, right?
That'd be great.
So, yeah, if Windows Microsoft sponsors the Let's Go Devils podcast, I will ditch the iPad for one of those crappy tablets. And what is it?
Well, I don't know if they're going to sponsor us now after you called it a crappy tablet.
Yeah, right. That's
money talks. Money talks, boys.
That's not how you win them over.
No.
Let me get your crap and I'll start to use it.
Let me look at the crappy standings right now on this beautiful tablets presented by Microsoft Surface. Microsoft Surface, the official tablet of the Let's Go Devils podcast. Anyway, let's go back to the phones. Hold on a sec. So phone lines are open, 323-870-3871. We've never tried this. We're going to have a couple hiccups, I'm sure, but call the podcast. We want your opinions. Like I said about this podcast, there are other Devils podcasts out there. They're great. But this podcast is the most commented podcast of all Devils podcasts in the history of Devils podcasts out there. So we want to hear your opinion about the New Jersey Devils. Do we have like the question of the day? How about you just call in and let's see if this thing works? And we'll put you in. You can talk to me.
Give it a test drive.
Let's give it a shot. Let's have someone call in.
And not just that, maybe down the road, maybe we'll start to have little contests and things like that. You never know. You could be the first caller on the show and really break the ice.
And I got the perfect I got the perfect music for Ranger fans calling in. Let me just cue this one up. Is it playing?
Just be an air horn playing the entire time they're trying to talk.
Yeah, right. It could be done. No,
I mean, we used to have Ranger fans calling.
It definitely could be done.
Yes, we did have Ranger fans calling.
Yes, the sinking ship called the New York Rangers. Anyway,
still doing huh? Nice.
Yeah. Well, it's still on my it's still on my computer. But anyway, guys, I'm gonna hop off. I'll let you guys talk. I'm gonna try to screen callers. There's already about 7 of them lining up, and I got to screen. You don't know if they're Ranger fans. Yeah. Anyway,
you can tell just be like, slipping something offensive to them, and when they freak out, just be like, aha. Like call Henrik the Queen, be like, the Queen, and then they freak out, and then you're like, aha, I got you.
Yep, found you out.
All right,
found you.
Well, I'll be back. I'll use the cube fade in when I come back.
Do it.
By the way, Andrew, on to give him another shout out, he said Zacha had a great game in against Dallas. He did have a good game. And let's not forget that he had a goal kind of waved off because he scored, as time expired in the first period.
Yeah,
if anybody needs to score a goal, he needs to break through. And I feel like once he breaks through, he's going to turn his game around. I mean, you could see he's starting to get his legs under him.
That goal would have been huge had it counted. It was just it wasn't. It was close, but it wasn't close enough to even dispute. I mean, it was triple zeros on that clock, which would have been awesome. However, no, I agree with you. Once he breaks through and he gets, he puts one in, it could be the opening of some floodgates there for him. But the whole team played well against Dallas. That was another really good game.
Oh yeah.
That was a great bounce back from Montreal.
Let's think about this. The Kings came in on an eight game winning streak, right?
Yeah.
The Devils played them, and I mean, they're traveling across country and whatever. They just, I mean, they're a big, strong team, and the Kings were one of those teams that just they overpower you with their size. That's what happened in the Stanley Cup Finals. Like they're so big and they're so talented, and they just bully you around the ice and kind of take over. And now the NHL is kind of changing, and you can see the evolution of the game. And Pittsburgh obviously has been in the forefront of this with that really fast, up-tempo, type of game. And the Devils are really starting to show that the West Coast, like that old school mentality of having those big bodies and like that, the Boston Bruin type of way and the LA King type of way. Like the Devils are adapting to that new style, and it's working. You can see them, like they zip around these guys, and like Bratt and Hischier, like how exciting is this line with Hall, Bratt, and Hischier? I know, like when Palmieri comes back, he'll take over that first spot, and Bratt will probably get demoted down to the second line. But those three have been so much fun to watch. They're so fast, and they just can turn on a dime, and they can make a play happen out of nothing. And it's been so much fun to get into. Yeah, no,
I agree. And, like I said earlier, it looks like Palmieri is skating with that line now, but that's just showing the depth that we have at the forward position, and the willingness and the ability for these players to jump up from, second, third line to the first line, and just to have the chemistry right there. That's what you want. Interchangeable parts, so you can have, multiple options at the forward position. You can start.
Which is crazy because
it is crazy. You can start shuffling.
3 years ago, we had
fine. We had nothing.
3-4 years ago, we're relying on Jaromir Jagr. You know what I mean? That was it. That was it. Like you'd have a key injury in a certain spot, and you're doomed because the next guy coming up wasn't going to be able to fill that spot.
Well, and I think that the Dallas Stars game was a good example of that. We can weather some injuries. We had Hall out, Palmieri was out, Johansson's been out, and and we were still able to, missing Hall, especially against Dallas, we were still able to to put a win together, which is great. So the depth that we have, and we've spoken about this, multiple times on this podcast. We've had the depth, and eventually it led to that trade. Sending Henrique out to the Ducks, but the depth is there, and these are the times you want depth. Is those injury times.
Oh yeah, and it's so nice to see Vatanen is starting to get comfortable in the lineup. I think they're starting to find the right D pairs for each other. Butcher and Severson together. Vatanen, at first some people were saying, "Oh, why did we trade Henrique? This guy's not playing any good." Blah blah blah. Defensemen, like forwards, it's easier for a forward to go in and adapt. Like a defenseman, yes. You can have a kid that coming into the NHL is projected to be, the next Victor Hedman. But look how long it took Victor Hedman to become Victor Hedman. You get traded from one team to another. Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah,
we saw that with Larson. He was supposed to come in and be NHL ready, and they threw him right in, and it just never materialized. I don't think we necessarily treated him as we should have. I don't think we just didn't utilize him properly and to help build him up. But at the same time, it took him a while to get used to it. And every time they bring up Vatanen, they all they say is that everyone says that he is the guy to get. This was a huge trade. This was a huge pickup for the Devils. This just seems like it's just a matter of time before he finally, gets in there, feels comfortable, gets involved in the system, to really show the, what he's really capable of doing. So it's a matter of patience. But you're right; it is easier for a forward to get integrated, and instead of a defenseman.
Yeah, and he's another one. He breaks that point drought that he's in right now. He's another one that I feel like is going to really open up, because you can see it in his play. Like, he's starting to jump in a little bit more offensively than he has. He's starting to understand how the team flows and works, and things are going to change. Like, we have 3 forwards that are top 6 forwards that are going to be coming back. That's huge. That's Hall being out, even though it's been only 2 games really. You could see a difference, because the team in that Montreal game, if Hall's in that lineup, I think is a completely different game. I feel like the way that the play, the way that everything was kind of flowing in that game, I feel like if he was in there, we walk out of there with 2 points. And especially going into overtime, because how good and dynamic he is in overtime. But getting Palmieri back, who's one of the grittiest guys on the team, who brings a certain kind of style of play to the Devils, and is one of the guys that's going to drive the front of the net and try to cut maybe a little too close to the goalie or whatever. Yeah, I feel like they're in such a good spot right now, and as close as the Metro Division is, they just got to keep pushing. They're going in the right direction.
No, I agree, and then you also got to remember that the third and fourth line guys, with the big 3 coming back, 3 of them have got to be sent to the press box. So you're going to have that competition between the third and fourth line guys to not be one of the 3 that are that are watching from the suite above.
Which is a great question. Who do you? Yeah. So who do you at this point? I mean, I hate to say it. You almost want to give, I don't know. It's you almost want to give Zacha the chance to keep building on what he's starting to put together, right? And then, do you give Miles Wood a couple days off? He's been he flashes in games, and then he has moments where he's invisible. So, yeah, I mean, he's still young. He's still 19, 20 years old or whatever he is, and I don't know that you got 3 really key players coming back. Who's going to sit? You can imagine Jimmy Hayes is probably going to sit. Nick Lappin, who had a huge goal for himself and a huge goal in the game against Dallas. You'd imagine he'd be sent back to the AHL. So who's that third guy who's gonna have to ride the pine?
Exactly. And man, well, Hayes was skating as the extra today. I'm looking at the forwards from practice today. So Hayes was skating as the extra. the other thing, they're going to have to send 2 since Palmieri was on IR along with Johansson. They've got to open up 2 roster spots. So it's oh man. Well,
Lappin is a definite. Lappin's a definite.
Yeah, I'm looking at the lines. Where is Lappin here? All right. We got to keep thinking. Man, this is a great problem to have. This is definitely a great problem to have. But we got Doug wants to talk about Sami Vatanen. Hey, Doug, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Doug. Oh, there you are. Hey, Doug. So what do you got about Sami Vatanen?
No, I was listening to you guys. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, no problem.
Saying to my son who's listening to the show that Vatanen is going to get it together with this team. He's really needed on this team. It sucks 100%. That they have Enrique for it, but he's definitely going to be somebody that they're going to have long term, and he's going to be a vital part of this team going forward. But you guys were talking earlier about a team like the Kings, that they're a heavy team and they can wear you down. Similarly, Winnipeg is like that too. And the Devils struggle against teams like that typically because they get pushed around a little bit or worn down. But the speed that they have on this team, most times they'll be able to counteract that. But they still have to get some timely goal scoring from everybody on this team. They can't just rely on Taylor Hall and Hischier and Bratt. Getting Palmieri back, hopefully Johansson comes back soon. Finally getting the whole team together as a whole, it'll be nice to see what this team can do going forward. How do you guys feel about that?
I agree 100%. Especially,
I agree as well.
You make some good points about. Okay,
go ahead, Beer Baron. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, you make a great point about Winnipeg, and you got teams. I mean, you put Dustin Bufflin out there; he's gonna push everybody around. But you get a heavy team like Winnipeg that pushes a team like the Devils around. You'll see that from time to time, just because of the size. Like Jesper Bratt is like 5'10" and like 165 pounds, soaking wet. So that'll happen from time to time. But at the same time, if you get into a long series with a team like that, if you have speed, just look at the Pittsburgh Penguins. Look at what Carl Hagelin did to almost every single team that they played against in the playoffs, in the last 2 years. Speed is starting to become the way of the game, especially the way it's officiated. And you're not going to have a lot of calls like it used to be.
Yeah, it's definitely that way, but
I was just gonna say I agree with Beer Baron all the way. Doug, what do you got?
Yeah, I just wanted to put my son on real quick. He's slowly becoming a Devils fan. He's more of a soccer.
Oh yeah, definitely bring him on.
Watching the game. Yeah. So I want to put him on real quick so he can say hi to you guys. Hold on a second.
Hey, what's up?
What's going on? What's your name?
Hey, I just have a question for you guys. Who do you think is better, Taylor Hall, Hischier, or Bratt?
Hall's got the experience, but the other two, Hischier and Bratt, they're starting to show flashes of brilliance. Hopefully they'll be better than Hall, because that just bodes well for the Devils in the future.
Yeah, exactly. Hischier's got a ton of potential, but Taylor Hall right now has got all that experience. Not definitely more than them, but he's still young as well. So right now I'm going to say Hall, but the other two are going to hopefully eclipse him eventually, which would be awesome for the Devils.
All right, thanks. My name is Daniel, and I'm giving it back to my dad now.
All right, thanks, Daniel.
I wanted to say to you guys, thanks for letting him come on. I just wanted to.
Of course.
One thing I notice about this team that bothers me, and it's been happening for like the last couple of years, they get pinned in their zone so often, and teams just cycle and cycle and cycle against them, and it drives me crazy that no one can clear the zone and just dump the puck out to center ice or just over the blue line. to get it out. They just keep getting themselves in trouble constantly. That's the biggest thing. That's the thing that they get scored on the most, is they get worn down by a cycle from a team, and it just drives me crazy. What do you guys think about that?
That is
there are
my
times where
biggest
it looks like
gripe.
a 5-on-5 power play. There are so many times that you're right. We get pinned in, and it looks like we're on the penalty kill, and it's 5-on-5, and it's just they can't get it out.
Yeah.
There's been times where I've lost my voice from screaming, "Get the puck out of the blanket zone!" I mean, that is the biggest pet peeve I have about this team is we have moments where we get pinned in our own zone, and it's like we can't even chip into the neutral zone, and it's like, we try to do the same things over and over, and it's like chip up the board, and it's getting met at the blue line, and they just can't get the puck out. Drives me up a wall. So yeah, trust me,
they make some stupid attempt to get it out, and they don't even clear it. Like, they give it right away. I'm like, what are you? I'd rather you ice it than try to do some half-assed attempt to get the puck out. It's
agreed.
Maddening. That's the word I like to use. It's maddening.
Exactly.
I very much agree with you, Doug.
All right, guys, I'm going to let you get back. I put the alerts on, so when you guys are on, I'll know when you're on. Are you going to be doing a lot of night, or is it going to be just whenever you have the chance?
Every Sunday night.
Every Sunday night, and then occasionally we're going to be doing some random stuff depending on specific
why don't we
games,
let
or
guys
something
guys,
like a trade.
Guys, this is Sam Wu here.
Wait.
Yeah.
Where's Sam? Has Sam
it goes to Sam Wu.
Hold on, let me fade myself back.
There you go. Star wipe and Sam is back.
Yeah. Ghost Sam Wu is back. Why don't we let the cat out of the bag for Doug, since he's on the line right now, what we're doing this Thursday?
All right, you want me to say it, or do you want to say it, Sammy?
Oh, why don't you say it, because I'm a ghost. So let me go back to you guys.
All right. Well, the ghost of Sam wants us to announce that we're going to be doing a post-game event after the Devils-Rangers game on Thursday, where we're looking to be coming live from almost immediately after the game. So look for that. Sammy and I will be at the game, so definitely look
if we're able to pull it off.
I'll be there in spirit for sure.
If we're able to pull it off,
it'll be the ghost of Beer Baron.
Exactly. I'll be here in the studio, in my studio.
But we'll be somewhere out in the parking lot, Doug.
Ben wants to get on and say hi. Okay,
great. Thank you.
Who's a Ranger fan actually wants to get on and say hi real quick because his mom's listening upstairs. Can he do that for you?
Sure.
Yeah, real quick, Doug. Then we got to move on.
With him. Okay.
Hi.
What's going on?
Up,
You're a
buddy?
Ranger fan?
All right, guys. All right. Thanks for having me on. I'm going to try to call every time that you guys are on. All right. Take care.
Oh,
Thanks,
awesome, Doug. Thanks.
Appreciate
Look
it, buddy.
for Thursday. Right? That's how Sam ends it.
Thanks a lot, guys. I appreciate it.
No problem, Doug.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, for everyone else, we're doing a, hopefully we're gonna be trying a post game podcast from the parking lot after the game on Thursday. So if you're at the game, Sam Wu and I will be there. So if you see us, come up and say hi. It'll hopefully be a good time and hopefully be a lot of fun. The ghost of Beer Baron will be there, and here comes the ghost of Sam Wu.
Well, if we're able to pull off a podcast in the parking lot and we're doing it successfully, it will be presented by Bobby's Auto Care. Bobby's Auto Care Hotline. Remember that?
Oh, I do remember the Bobby's Auto Care Hotline.
All right. Back to you guys. I'll let you guys talk a little bit Devils hockey.
All right, cool.
Thanks, Sam. Just pops in, pops out.
Yeah, right.
It's like my conscience. Like, hey, let me remind you of something.
Yeah, right. All right, so we did well this week. This week coming up, that was Friday was the first of 6 at home. So this week coming up, Anaheim, then the Rangers, and then Chicago. So 3 really solid games coming up this week.
And Anaheim, which is going to be an emotional game.
Agreed. Yes.
There's going to be a lot of fans cheering on Henrique. I hope he has a terrible game that night. I hope Henrique doesn't have a. I hope he forgets that he's playing and goes to the wrong locker room or something. Yeah. But that's going to be a pretty emotional game. And then here they come, here across the river.
Come the Rangers
coming across the river, and then hopefully you get a bounce back game. And I hope. And this is the thing: is it seems like the team responds to Hines, right? So they have that terrible game against the Rangers. He calls the team out, which I think he calls the team out in a super proper way because he does it in a type of way where he's like, we played soft, we didn't do this, we didn't do that. He didn't call anybody out. He wasn't like, Corey had a terrible game and let up a couple of softies, and Andy Green just feels like he wants to feed the other team the puck, and he could have easily thrown, which unfortunately has been true lately. He could have easily thrown these guys under the bus, but he went about the right way. Called the whole team out, blanket statement. We played soft. We sucked. They know what they need to do. And then they came back and they responded in a big way. So I hope he, gets that message back to.
And you gotta believe that behind closed doors, he was going to those specific players and was basically saying, this is unacceptable. But again, the best part of the forward problem we have, and it's, I hate using the word a problem, but it is, we've got so many forwards that if you decide to just not want to play, or, if you have a bad, string of games, they're all replaceable. And again, going back to the Henrique trade, everyone's tradable. With maybe the exception of Hall, everyone seems to be tradable right now. So it's they've got all of this stuff that's hanging over their heads, to where if there's plenty to go with forward wise if people are having bad games.
Yeah, exactly. They go into they're going into this nice stretch where they're at home, so you hopefully get that home ice advantage where they're going to have a couple solid games in a row and they can build some momentum. The Metro is such a tight division where everything is a point and two. I think they said a couple days ago that everybody's like within 2 to 4 points of each other, which is absolutely crazy. Yeah. I don't know. I have a good feeling about this stretch coming up.
Yeah, so do I. And I always really hate kind of talking about points in December, but it seemed like this season, these December points could be the difference in April. And generally it's, it's just, for me, it's always like way too early to really worry about that. But with how tight it is, it's like they have to worry. These points are going to be hard fought points.
I mean, crap, we went from first to fourth in a matter of a day and a half, and then bounced back up into a tie-in first. You know what I mean? So that's a huge swing. That's a crazy swing.
Agreed. But if we can get some, if we can definitely get some momentum and maybe build a little bit of a barrier in between the teams behind us, that would be definitely ideal for sure.
Well, this is the week coming up, guys.
Yeah, what do you got, Sam?
Well, you have Anaheim on Monday.
Yep.
With Adam Henrique coming in. You've got the New York Rangers coming into town on the 21st, Thursday night. Shorts Guy and I will be there in section 208 in rare form. But we're gonna have to save our voices for this supposed podcast happening post game right after the game. Do you know what that's going to be like in the freezing cold outside, doing a Facebook Live, Twitter, YouTube Live, taking phone callers potentially?
It's going to be a good time, Sam. It's definitely going to be a good time.
Just talk slower because I was just stalling before Beer Baron got back to his post.
Beer Baron returns.
Beer Baron, we were stalling. We were.
I was getting I was getting some feedback, some stuff in the background, so I had to see what was going on.
Gotcha. Feedback, like as an audio feedback, or you getting feedback from the family about the podcast?
No. I was getting feedback of something in the background.
Okay.
Just some noise that I was like trying to figure out where it's coming from.
Well, let's do a station identification. This is the Let's Go Devils podcast, season 1, episode 10. You're listening to us live on Facebook Live, on Twitter, Periscope, on YouTube Live, and with our friends, the Devil's Army blog, devilsarmyblog.com. Go there.
Yes, with their new website.
Got some great stuff. They're actually having a viewing party somewhere in Bridgewater, the Buffalo Wild Wings in Bridgewater. Okay. They're actually having a viewing party for Devils Rangers. Wish I could go, but we're going to the game, and then we're going to do the live podcast afterwards. We're just turning off Beer Baron's audio for that second as he's trying to adjust his microphone. As you see he's smiling, he's laughing right now, but we can't hear him because I just shut him down. You know what? This is actually a better podcast, Shorts guy. Yeah. You know, shutting Beer Baron down. Ha ha. You got opinions, Beer Baron?
Beer Baron's muted.
Beer Baron, you could call 323-870-3871 for your own podcast because I just shut you down because you never change your equipment without letting me know, so I can't mute you down. Anyway, those are just jokes. Okay, he's trying to talk right now. If you look at the top right-hand corner. All right.
The scolding is over.
Yeah, the scolding's over. You had your 2-minute silence penalty on the Let's Go Devils podcast. I had to take my penalty.
Listen, the mic stand came off. I'm having some technical difficulties over in the studio, in the beer dome.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. So we're still taking your callers. In all seriousness, 323-870-3871. We're taking your opinions. Anybody that is in the Facebook chat, Facebook Live chat, will take your comments. This is one of the most commented Devils podcasts in the history of Devils podcasts out there. We got some comments. Andrew, Bob, Justin, even Beer Baron actually commented somewhere.
I did a few times. I want to throw this out to all the listeners and either comment or when you call in, your predictions for our week next week. How do you think we're going to do? Do you think we're going to go 3-0? Are we going to well, you know what? Let's just leave it. Let's just go 3-0 next week. I don't want any other options. But if you disagree,
there is no other option. There is no other option.
Guys, no. Think about this week at Devils hockey, okay? You got Adam Henrique coming into town tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
And then you look on the schedule, you've got the New York Rangers on Thursday, December 20th. I've circled that since the last game. That is the game. I'm sure tickets are expensive for that game.
They are.
And
they are definitely expensive.
But that's why we have season tickets, right? So So we're going to the game. And then, you know what game I like the most? Are the kind of, the ones near Christmas, December 23rd against the Blackhawks. Don't you think the Blackhawks are going to be a little bit mad after what happened last time when they blew the lead up in Chicago at the United Center?
That was just such a wide open game in Chicago. I can't imagine it's going to be a repeat of that. Yeah, I can't imagine we're going to repeat a second.
I bet you that game's going to be like a 2-1 game. It's going to be like a 2-1 game or something real low.
Yeah, it'll be real close. Now, do we give Kincaid the start, or do we give Snyder the start there?
I don't know. Do you see? That was the question I actually wanted to bring up to you guys, is because for the first time all year, I believe, Corey started back-to-back.
Yes, that was the first time all season.
Did pretty good.
He did really well.
So you got to think, is Hines going to start pulling back on Kincaid and stop going like 1-1A, or is he going to, giving Corey a majority of the work, or is he going to go back to that? So it's kind of interesting to see what his approach is going to be. Is he losing faith in Kincaid? Is that why he didn't go with the back-to-back? with a big team like Dallas. Dallas has a lot of firepower, and they're a super strong team coming out of the West. I was kind of shocked to see that, he was going with Corey and that maybe he has a better track record against that team. I don't know what it was, what his decision was made off of, but I don't know. It was kind of interesting.
Well, Corey played great in both games against the Kings and the Canadiens. The only goal against the Kings, like I said before, was a tip, and that goal in overtime against the Canadiens, that was such bad defensive lapses that there's no way you blame Snyder. Maybe Corey just came in and said, "I want tomorrow." He is the starter, and maybe it's possible he just went to Hines and said, "I want tomorrow, and I will get us the victory."
It's a possibility. It's a very strong possibility.
Yeah, no, I don't know if it's anything about losing faith in Kincaid, because there's it's not like Kincaid has blown games. At least in my opinion, he hasn't absolutely blown games. But it's a Monday. This week is a Monday, Thursday, Saturday setup for the games. So with no back-to-backs, the only reason I see Kincaid. Well, the only reason I see Kincaid possibly getting Chicago is Hines saying, "Hey, let's here's Chicago again. Do something better this time." Other than that,
don't let 4 goals up in a matter of 2 minutes.
Yeah, like show me something better than the last time, or you just ride Schneider because he's been playing really well this past week. So just you ride him into this week.
Yeah. First of all, I have to ask you a question specifically, and this comes from Robert from the Facebook group. Are you going to break out the Don Cherry suit for the game against the Rangers? That's what he wants to know. And a shout out to my buddy Rob Sattler, who I haven't seen in probably about 20 years. But how you doing, Rob?
Yeah, Bobby, that suit's coming out on Thursday. Don't you worry. That suit's, and if we get this live
the fact
podcast,
that you own a Don Cherry, if you own a suit that resembles anything Don Cherry would wear, is priceless. And if you don't know who Don Cherry is, you need to Google it immediately.
All right, I will admit it's nowhere near as outlandish as the Don Cherry suit, but it is pretty awesome, this suit. It's specifically for this time of year, and I will be wearing it at the game. So you're just gonna have to, for all the listeners, you're just gonna have to find me at the game to see what this thing looks like.
This is loud and brash.
Tune in after the game. It's pretty wild.
You gotta start. You gotta wear that. You gotta wear that suit and just walk through the stadium like do the McGregor walk, the billionaire walk as he calls it.
I'm gonna walk around that stadium in that suit like I just don't care, and it's awesome. It's definitely gonna be well worth wearing.
Dude, like things like that. This is what makes it fun to go to games. Like I was thinking about this the other day, and not just to get off on like a little bit of a tangent, but thinking about just like those good old fashioned rivalry games of going to see Devils Flyers and getting into fights with fans in the stands, and in my earlier days, maybe not being so much of a polite gentleman as I'm watching a game, but there's like so many crazy things that you look back. There's games that we went to that I don't remember too well, or there's games that we went to that I remember going to the last game at Continental, like the last game, and the Devils losing to Ottawa. Yeah, and the Devils losing to Ottawa, and I just walking out of the stadium feeling like so dejected, and just it's crazy. Like some people ask like how. I don't understand, like, it's just hockey. It's just hockey, or it's just a team, and it's just this, it's just that. And it's like, no, it's more than that. Like, for me personally, like the Devils, they mean more to me than just a team and just a game. Like it's something that always bonded me and my friends together, and my family and I, and it helped me, meet great people in my life like you and Sam. It's like it's more than sport. And it's like the greatest thing in the world. Sorry, I just had to go off on that little.
No, you're right.
Agree.
You're right.
I totally agree. Honestly, Beer Baron, let me tell you something. I thought about it the other day. You talked about fan fights.
Yeah.
Shorts guy and I and you together have been to a lot of games, especially the old Meadowlands, right? And you talk about the immaturity in the parking lot maybe 15, 20 years ago. Yeah, I'm kind of glad I grew up at the same time.
There's a lot of things. Oh, man.
A lot of things that happened. I mean, I've heard of stories. Did you guys ever hear about the story back in '95? Devils Flyers game 6 that they actually, or was it game 6 or game 4 in the Eastern Conference Finals? They actually burned a jersey in the stands, like lit it up on fire. Yeah, somebody told me about that story.
Wait, that was a game 6?
Game 6 or game 4 in section, I believe, either 213. The old back then was Brendan Byrne during the '95 Eastern Conference Finals against the Flyers. I forgot which game it was.
I was there at game 6, and I don't remember that. But
yeah. I mean, stuff we used to pull off. Remember Beach Ball Day? Do you guys remember Beach Ball Day? When we sent out we sent out the bulletin. Guys, we don't like the Meadowlands security, so let's let everybody bring some beach balls to the parking lot next game. And what happened? There were probably at least 1,500 beach balls in our stash of beach balls. There were a lot, and I remember going to Walmart the next day after that game trying to get more beach balls, and they said they're all sold out. As a matter of fact, they said, "Yeah, a gentleman, wearing that thing, the jersey, bought like the entire row of beach balls." And you got to think during the playoffs against the Rangers, you got to think they're selling out of beach balls, and it's like April.
One of the things I miss about Continental, and there's very few things that I miss about Continental, was the tunnel walk. Walking through the tunnel after a game, and after you won a game, and you would just slam the walls of that metal tunnel, and how loud and crazy it would get in there, and how many fist fights. And I'm pretty sure I saw a couple people humping in there, and it was just like craziness. It was like he would walk into an insane asylum just funneled in with a bunch of people. And if he lost, it always sounded like it was like walking into a morgue because it was always so dead quiet.
The greatest story about that tunnel, Game 4, Cup Finals, 95. After the game, we're walking back across through the tunnel, and just like you're describing, everyone's just banging on the tunnel, right? So you hear these guys just banging on the tunnel, bang, 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 and all of a sudden you hear this real loud racket, and just everyone just starts shouting. They had bashed out one of the panels. Wow! Of the tunnel at the ramp walking up. They just banged on it so much, and it's just bang, bang, yeah, and everyone just went ballistic because we just won the cup. And here I am, seventh grade me walking into the tunnel. My dad going, "This is the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life," and still one of the greatest things I've ever been involved with. Well, it used to be made out.
If I'm not mistaken, the original
it was like corrugated steel.
Walk.
That's all it was. It was corrugated steel. That's it.
Well, it wasn't like the bottom made out of wood.
It was like walking on the boardwalk. It was like they took a boardwalk and then they just wrapped it with this like metal that you put on an old tin roof, and everything echoed. You could, if you ripped a fart in the end of that thing, it would reverberate all the way down, and somebody at the end of the tunnel would know you did it, dude. That I have to. By the way, I got to say what's up to my buddy John De Silva, who first time listener. Him and I go way back and are both diehard Devils fans. Like I said, this is like something that it goes beyond just sports. Like some of my greatest memories in my life with my friends like evolve around hockey. The series against Ottawa in 2003, right? So Game 7, we're all watching the game at my buddy's house, which, it was the place for the longest time. It was like the place to go to watch a Devils game. We go there to watch a game. Ottawa scores. I think they go up like 2-0. And I'm like, you know what? Screw this. I'm running over to Quick Check to grab a little plug right there. Cha-ching. I go over to Quick Check and grab like a jug of iced tea and come running back. Jump in my car. As I'm driving over to Quick Check, Friesen scores, Devils score again. They tie it up 2-2. I come back to the house. I'm all pumped up. As I walk into the house, Ottawa scores again, and without even skipping a beat, all my friends look at me and they're like, leave. And I'm like already walking out the door. I'm so superstitious, and we were all so superstitious. I jumped in my car. I drove around, listened to the end of that game, listened to the Devils win that game. And I mean, I'm driving up and down 22. Up and down 22. I could have been sitting at my friend's house, watching the game in the comfort of, my buddy's house. But instead, because I'm so damn superstitious, I was driving up and down the highway, just back and forth. I remember I went into one part of Bridgewater. I drove all the way down into Bridgewater from Greenbrook, and I went into a dead zone where at the time AM radio wasn't coming through, and my radio started going crazy, and I'm like freaking out, trying to like speed back to where I can get into the game. But it just shows you like it's more, to us at least, it's more than just just hockey. It's more than just a sport.
Oh, I agree. And I've got that with the Devils and another local team with the Red Bulls, and it's just a matter of the times you have watching the team, the ups, the downs, and the people you meet while you're doing it. It's just there's nothing that can be replacing it. So it's more than just sports. And some people just don't get it because they're not into it, and that's fine. But if once you're into it and once you're hooked, forget it, you're done. All right, so before we wrap the show up, before we call it quits, what's your prediction on this week? If you want to go honest prediction.
Honest prediction.
Whatever you got.
God, my heart and head have been so off lately. I'm gonna say 3-0. I'm gonna say 3-0. I feel like they're finding a good groove right now, and I feel like getting back Hall, getting back Palmieri, I think they're coming back at the right time, and I feel like they're gonna eat up some of this home cooking.
Yeah, I want to say 3-0, but I have a feeling it's gonna be 2-1, and the loss is gonna be to Anaheim.
Possibly.
There's no way that we can lose to the Rangers again. There's just no way. Sammy, now that you've appeared, what's your prediction this week?
I'm,
the ghost of Sam Wu.
Yes,
Ghost of Sam.
Yes, I'm back. My prediction for this week, I'm going to take a quote from Rocky 3. Pain. That's what I'm going to predict.
For them, not us.
Pain.
Yeah, pain. But I will take the George Costanza approach to predictions this week. Do opposite of what I think. So, I don't want to, jinx anything. 0-3. I think they're just going to lose every single game this week.
All right. Well, officially, I'm writing down you as your prediction is pain.
Pain.
So that's
pain. 0-3. I have to be on. Before I know it's the Let's Go Devils podcast, but I got to have a little balance. 3-0, 2-1, pain.
Yeah,
it's could have gone.
You could have gone 1-2 for crying out loud.
Yeah, but I'll tell you,
the win being against the Rangers.
I'll tell you what. If I'm at the game, which I will be on December 23rd, and they lose that game and they went 0-3, I'm probably going to get shot. That's
you're
people are
best to
starting
leave
to
that
recognize.
You will really be the ghost of Sam Wu then.
Yes. This is how the podcast will be. Hold on a sec. Let me.
Simulcast from heaven.
Yes. Woo.
Oh, good.
Anyway.
Look, it's Sam showing what he's going to be in a week.
Yes. Yeah. I better pay for that life insurance policy tomorrow.
Yeah, seriously.
Get a chance. Yeah.
All right. Seriously.
So, all right, well, let's wrap it up, guys. So we're going to try, and we will do our best to provide the best Devils coverage after we beat the New York Rangers. That's our next podcast before Christmas, right? On the 21st. We'll try to do it
as long as
outside.
we get it all to work. This will be a landmark podcast if we get this to work.
And we'll try to take your calls too. Isn't that great? We'll try to take your calls like tonight, right?
Yeah. We're
Beer
gonna,
Baron,
you know,
you
here's
still
something
there?
that works, and if
Yeah, I'm still here, man.
If,
I'm still here.
okay.
I'm sorry. I was just thinking
If
about,
anyone
I wanted to
sees-
say.
no, go ahead, Beer
I
Baron.
just want to say. Oh, I'm sorry. I just want to say thanks to Doug and his kids for calling in.
Totally.
That was awesome. Thanks for being the first 3 callers that we've had on this podcast as we keep continuing to grow into the future. And this Thursday is going to be huge. I wish I could be there with you boys, but fatherly duties call, and hopefully we're going to be doing a live event, and then in the future and doing something cool. So.
Oh
And
yeah.
if any
man,
of the
really?
listeners, if any of the listeners see Samurai at the game, definitely come up and say hello. It'll be nice to meet you guys.
I think I may wear the goal light helmet on Thursday. The
Yeah,
red
boy, you
light.
should.
Yeah.
You should.
We're going to be in rare form, but we better save our voices for that, post game podcast. Otherwise, we'd be sounding like, that was one. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, but you know what though? That just means it's been a good game if we're like that.
Yeah, that means Beer Baron is gonna carry the load while we're just sitting in the car
I'll be
watching
doing
him
some
do the
heavy lifting.
podcast. Yeah,
I'm like, well, guys, they've passed out again, and so here we are.
yeah.
Beer Baron will be doing the heavy lifting 12 ounces at a time.
Exactly.
Well, we want to thank all the listeners and viewers viewing in the Let's Go Devils podcast. Well, we'll see you Thursday night from Prudential Center. Till next time, let's go Devils.